Fireside Chat. This is our first of our series on AI breakthroughs. We are thrilled to present AI powered retail, a conversation with Tacori. My name is Manju Devdas. I'm the founder CEO of Pluto 7, and I'm excited to be hosting this conversation. Today, we'll be driving into the world of AI driven retail optimization and how it's helping business like Tacori thrive in the competitive jewelry market. Joining me today is Christine Scalise, SVP Operations at Tacori. Tacori is a renowned jewelry brand known for its exquisite designs and exceptional craftsmanship, a sophisticated luxury brand that maintains the soul of passionate, personal, and independent spirited family businesses. Christine brings a wealth of experience in supply chain, spanning 20 plus years of experience, and I am excited to hear her insights and stories of triumph. Christine, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Manju. Glad to be here, and thank you for inviting me to your chat today. I'm very, very excited to share how we've been able to progress partnering with the Pluto 7 team in AI and even further into generative AI.
Great. Christine, could you tell us about Tacori to our audience and give a brief overview of your role at Tacori?
Yeah, absolutely. So Tacori, for those who are not familiar, we're a luxury jewelry brand, as you mentioned. We're handcrafted, our product is handcrafted right here in California. So we're one of the largest US-based operations of our kind, making jewelry on site here in the US. And our primary targets of customers are individuals and couples who value luxury, as you mentioned, quality, hand craftsmanship, for their bespoke pieces that they're purchasing.
Great, fascinating, and Tacori as a luxury brand with quality being paramount and a customer experience. It's a symbol of how your organization has evolved. Christine, I'm sure you have seen many innovations and disruptions in the supply chain industry, in retailer. The experiences of customer experiences evolve in the last 20 years. And you've also seen technology transitions and changes. Now, given the recent technology advancements, particularly in AI, what are your thoughts on the potential of AI, whether it's in the form of generative AI, revolutionizing, or helping customers with better experiences or running supply chains at Tacori? That's question number one. But also want to hear about how do you envision in your role addressing some of the industry challenges that shows up for Tacori?
Sure. So first of all, from a generative AI, from an AI perspective, as you mentioned, I think that there is so much room for it to be revolutionized in the way that products are designed, how they're produced, how they're distributed. I think there's really transformational potential, not just in other organizations, but certainly within our industry. We have been working really hard to drive innovation in bespoke creation of our products. And so I think being able to traditionally tackle AI in the ways that we have, and I'm sure we'll talk about that with how we've been able to do that from a demand, supply, improving inventory, streamlining our end-to-end operations. The generative AI is really exciting because then that begins to be what I believe to be in service of what our clients and then ultimately the end consumer wants and needs for our product. And for something that is so personalized and something that is so individualized to the end client, having something like these tools at our disposal to be able to utilize them and make them value added to the end consumer is really exciting. And we can get into a little bit of detail on that as well, on how I envision that being workable, not only to our clients as a vendor, but then also to the end consumer who's ultimately purchasing and making that investment.
Great. Thank you for that. Christine, having worked with you, this is probably the fourth or fifth, I'm losing count of years now.
I know.
It's been a wonderful journey working alongside you. From the day one, what has remained is you're always very a combination of being a visionary, yet being pragmatic.
Mhm.
And and as you know, there's always new technologies coming. There are some times where the technologies have a leapfrog effect, like the what we are seeing with AI. But you're also very pragmatic in making sure that the technology that you introduce continues to make sure it fits well with your users, whether you're solving your demand or inventory problems, and especially your end customers being luxury and quality conscious and the experience aspect of it. Uh, can you elaborate specifically on how you're shaping the career, shaping your customer journey by picking and choosing these technologies? And just if I can elaborate it just a little bit more, there's a lot of hype around AI, but at the
Mhm.
same time, when you build a capability, a platform, or a solution for Tacori, even picking things like elements of planning in a box, how do you shape the right journey for Tacori?
Yes, I think that's a good question because every company of different, of different sizes, especially when you're talking more of the mid-sized companies, are are looking at how they can be most resourceful with their planning and execution of those strategies. We can all come up with these really massive strategies. We can all um, tap into the most recent availability of new and evolving technology, but how is that fundamentally driving the business, or how is that functionally aligned to the capabilities and where you are at in your business um, uh, functions or cycles that are existing. So for me and for our company, I've always tried to take that approach of that foundational build and then expand beyond that. Just from a personal experience, I think about my evolution through supply chain and being in organizations where back in the day, it was just teams of people who were doing analytics. And those teams in reality were making up for system capabilities that do exist and people can implement today, where it was disparity of systems, where you have information in different places and them not being centralized, scrubbing data. And it's amazing to see the functionality that systems can take over from that. Really just like these teams of individuals to really just prep to even dive in then to the analytics or dive into the decision making that's based off of that. And so when we really started our journey, it was sort of this replacement of any of those activities so that anyone or anything that we were putting resourcing against was really to do the decision making and to move towards more of that predictive analytics platform and approach, right? And so I think for us, being the organization that we are, and especially in a luxury business that is so hyper focused on marketing, so hyper focused on sales, and operations, though, is expected to be able to fall into place, with cutting edge value and quality and customer niche needs. We really had to look at all of that and say, okay, let's build something that does not result in us having just teams upon teams of individuals, but really let's make the systems work for us. And let's build a foundational platform that says, okay, we'll have the right information to support these decision-making tactics, to support these future technologies as well. And then also thinking about our end client. A lot of times, as a vendor or somebody who is at the place where we're at in the supply chain, we have to be thinking about the delivery of this information and how we can be in best of service to our end clients as well. And I think we really had to factor that in because in our industry, their advancement may not be as far as our advancement. And how do we bring them into the direction that we're going? How do we bring them into that capability and do that in a very thoughtful manner so that they are not feeling overwhelmed by the information that's in front of them? They, a lot of times, are in that same boat of needing to standardize and structure all of their systems and information, but need to be very, everybody is looking for instant impact and instant, ability to deliver. And so I think a lot of the things that we've built together and worked on over the past, 5+ years have been around not just setting up Tacori for success, but recognizing setting up our end clients for success was truly going to be the path for us to be able to have longevity with this technology roadmap that we've implemented in partnership.
Yeah, very well articulated, Christine. Now, the way you defined your journey over the last 5 years, and when we look at this journey, you're looking at not just what I heard from you is not just your internal stakeholders across marketing, sales, supply chain, because there's all this information scattered that needed to be centralized so that the decision making is more effective, better, higher quality, and so on. But also your external stakeholders, where you're
Mhm.
talking to them, engaging with them, their systems and people and process may not be as sophisticated as you are, but the information exchange needs to get better. So you're shaping the journey, not just for yourself, but your entire value chain, is what I heard.
Mhm. Yes.
Now, Christine, if we take a step back, before these 5 years of evolution of the cloud platform and data and now AI, what is your journey or the world before that? As in, were there a lot of spreadsheets and systems and what is that world like and how has that changed now? And then we'll talk about what will happen in the future.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's probably all of the things that anybody watching this would nod their head yes to, right? And so it is disparate systems, it is homegrown systems, it is the lack of systems talking to one another, and then these massive hurdle rates of looking at, wow, to get this system integrated with this system, just the amount of effort or energy that would be there, and then that's only connecting one to one. That's only two systems. What about my other 7 systems? And how do I look at that? And really, all of this just, I think, feels very daunting to an organization and feels very, or they're going to the further extreme, which is, well, obviously I need a new X, I need a new ERP, I need new this. And these are massive tech investments that companies need to also look at on top of that. So the universe for us before was sort of this crossroads of what do we do? And I think where we really stopped and asked the question is, what are we trying to achieve? And for us, it wasn't necessarily about the tactics or the day-to-day pieces of activity that were happening that gave us good data points were not the problem. The problem was getting that data all to a place that was centralized, that allowed us to be able to have all of that data integrated and be able to create that understanding or that journey across all of these systems at once. And so I think for us, we were having all of these very siloed, again, massive technology hurdle conversations. And even if we were having those, again, it was just going to connect a couple of the dots. It wasn't going to connect the whole picture. And then again, when you start to layer in those pictures and then a new system and what does that mean for adoption rates, et cetera. And it really was like, we needed to simplify what we were hoping to do and what we were hoping to achieve, which was essentially, we want to be able to have all of our data in one place. We want it to talk to each other, and we want to be able to look at it end to end to make good, strong business decisions based off of that. And I think when we stepped back and we did that and then partnered with, you guys on that end, we were able to really see that became a very achievable practice as we stair-stepped into what we wanted to be able to deliver for our end consumer or for our clients, and build and grow and build and grow. And then that's been essentially the last 5 years, right? Is what did we set our immediate needs. We looked at where we could get those individualized and immediate deliverables and wins across the board. And then we layered and layered on top of that. That's obviously simplifying a lot of the work that we've done over the past 5 years, but I think it's these companies like ourselves can really agree that you come to these crossroads And everyone will kind of come in and tell you all the different things, and you need this new system, and you need this new approach, and you need this team, and all these tactics. And then you're looking at this really massive timeline as well, right? You're not just looking at a massive, investment financially, but you're looking at these lengthy timelines, and you really need to deliver now, because the universe now is very immediate need and immediate delivery expected, whether it be by investors or whether it be by shareholders. And you don't have the luxury of years at your disposal. You now are needing to deliver within much shorter timeframes, and that's what we were really faced with. And that's where our partnership really, blossomed, was being able to look at all of those capabilities and say, we really can make those business decisions once this information is centralized. And we, went and started to go down that path with you guys. And that's really where we've been able to build and impact our business in so many different areas and opportunities in partnership.
Yeah, Christine, I think there's a lot of valuable insights that you just narrated in the last few minutes, right? Many companies, and you have been in large enterprises, you have been in mid-sized companies, you have seen this vision of, let me bring all this data across business functions, let me put it in one place so that you can have a much more more complex questions answered, more complex decisions made. When even to think about something like that for many enterprises, even today, you guys are 4-5 years ahead of this. For many enterprises, it's a struggle, right? And if we look at way we have observed working with customers and evolved, Christine, in 2016, 2017, when we saw cloud and machine learning and AI started 60 years back, but really, it kept evolving, and it sounded so logical in 2016, 2017 when we started working with Google that, hey, every company should be doing it. And then soon we realized that even though it's conceptually makes sense, it's a long journey with companies, right? And you highlighted a few things. We realized pretty much in 2018 that you need to be partnering with customers who have a long-term vision. You need to be agile, to your point, around able to deliver immediate value, because you can't have these grand plans that I'm going to roll this out over 3 years and nobody has the patience to wait for so long. It needs to be agile, solve an immediate problem, yet be aware of what's coming ahead in the future. And that's part of what we've constantly tried to do with Planning in a Box, with our design thinking, because we know it's going to be a build. We know it has to be adaptive, yet it has to be futuristic so that you're not putting a wrong foundation. So Christine, as you have seen this platform evolve, solving different problems for you, what challenges have you faced, whether it's technical or adoption or any of those, to get this on the right track?
Sure. So some of the challenges that we faced is the age of our systems. We're in a quite aged ERP system. As mentioned, we've got disparaging when it's across all the different systems that we have. We traditionally had not worked in a cloud-based environment either, right? So a comfort level from a security standpoint and making sure that we had that right foundationally from a IT and support standpoint and access. The team was very excited about the idea of this move to that, because it opened up windows of them being able to access this information from anywhere to anywhere. And then also they saw the future vision of, as we connect further with our clients, that a cloud-based setup really provides. But in addition to that, we did do a bit of work up front to make sure that we had that right security and infrastructure in place. And then from a resourcing standpoint as well, this was something that was very unique for us, because we didn't really have resident experts in this arena that understood integrations, requirements, building, which sources of data we were going to use when there's overlapping information in that way. And then overall, just like, traditional resourcing, where we didn't have, extensive IT teams, we didn't expect extensive analytics and more the tech ops side teams. So that's where I think our partnership has really come full circle with your teams and Pluto 7, because we built a bit of that resourcing internally, but then also leaned on your partnership and expertise that you've built over the years as well, to really create sort of that foundational setup for us to go forward. We knew that a lot of that would be necessary in order for there to be the right adoptions across the organization. Everything's always about being new, and but also people are very, very tied to old systems and old approaches. And so I think for us, it was a welcome change, but also people were are just not hesitant to let go of old things, but also just more comfortable. And how did we bring them on board as an organization to get them comfortable with the new systems and capabilities that we have?
Great. Glad to hear how you're able to bring all those pieces of puzzles and evolve while to get people off the old systems and adapt to the cloud environment. Now, when you look at the data and now the AI capabilities that you're enabling and continue to enable, even if you obviously bought marketing, sales, supply chain, manufacturing, all kinds of data in there. Even if you pick areas like material or resource planning or your ad spend, what kind of business benefits are you seeing through this transformation?
Oh, absolutely. Prior to this, when I think about more the back office operations of inventory management, materials planning, sourcing, we had done all of that very manually, whether that be by, using, the systems were disconnected, so there was a lot of, as I mentioned, a lot of that, prep work, a lot of that scrubbing, a lot of lack of visibility in information. And so sometimes decisions when it came to like sourcing and procurement were very field-based or relationship-based versus need-based. And we've been able to make significant changes and adjustments to our needs and be able to dramatically impact our inventory carrying costs. We've been able to factor in things that have allowed us to repurpose that funds, right? So with a lot of the situations that we've had where we've been able to reduce our inventory, or we've been able to optimize our make to order environment and be more in a raw materials and with position and say, okay, let's now that we're able to do that, that gives us a lot more streamlined capability to be very finite in our purchasing. So our business is about precious metals, it's about diamonds, it's about precious gemstones. And because we're a bespoke business, to plan inventory all the way to finished goods is very daunting and very specific, because you're talking about hundreds of thousands of combinations that are out there that you can create within a certain piece of jewelry. But when you start to roll that back up to a materials management standpoint, it's actually a lot more simplistic. And I think a lot of other industries are faced with this as well, where when you get down to that, get through that, back up that funnel to where your materials is, and you're able to plan that and be able to carry that through more successfully with your demand and supply planning and roll that up to your purchasing, you can make huge strides in your inventory decisions or timing of inventory purchasing or quantities. And so we've been able to not only make significant strides in that area, sometimes reducing our inventory as much as 50% within the last year of really working heavily in that area. Then you have the cash flow, then you have that reinvestment that you're able to now do into those things that continuously make you, whether it be product development, whether that be marketing, whether that be areas to, further deliver for your client or upon your end consumers' needs. It's been very exciting, and it's been very gratifying to see how we've been able to do that from the back office standpoint. And then additionally to that, being able to better understand the client and consumer only feeds further into us being able to do more integrated business planning and optimization with those partners, which again, it just feeds the funnel. It just continues to drive and improve within our organization on those decision making. And ultimately, as I mentioned, cash is king, and it's been such a positive impact from a cash flow standpoint to the organization.
Yeah, very well said, Christine, and thank you for highlighting those. Right, I think especially the key elements. What highlighting here is 50% in inventory cost savings, improving cash flow, improving inventory positioning by positioning and planning and positioning and optimizing inventory. There's a very direct benefit, and while there's a lot of hype going on with AI and data. When I read these grandiose statements where companies say we're going to transform with AI, we are going to transform with
Mhm.
data, but when you try to get to the details of tell us what's the business value, what's the business impact, and even in a projected time window, right, over a period of time, you can make a statement of, or 5 years we'll do this, but the person may not even exist in the company in the 5 years, right? But to be able to say something and methodically go through that shows the maturity of um, how Tacori has been able to not only be pragmatic about using the technologies, but being very conscious about, like you mentioned, these are expensive raw materials, the
Mhm.
metals and the precious metals and so on. So planning is a very critical aspect. So glad to hear the way you articulated the business value. So just now, because the world is talking a lot about AI, and we can't
Mhm.
ignore that as well. And you're already looking at it in a very in many different lenses. So help me understand your view, right? As in, because having seen you how you carefully pick and choose how to shape your business, what's your view of how you'll continue to ingest Gen AI and advanced AI capabilities to enhance your business over the coming year or so?
Yeah, absolutely. We're we're now starting to get into some of, I think, what really excites a lot of my colleagues and gets them very interested in all of the foundational work that we've been doing over the past years, which now becomes more about product development and on-demand design efforts. And so as we're planning for the future and we're thinking about our brand loyalists, we're thinking about luxury, we're thinking about bespoke business needs. It's really all in service of them and what the client is looking for, and that agility and that uber readiness to deliver for them. And so, just kind of giving you a picture of what was, what is, and what to be, right? Is over time, there is much more of this interest in hyper customized products, especially when you're investing, thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in your purchase and your investment. And a lot of times within that, the current to be is that the client is looking for that. We want to provide that to them, but there's a lot of manual effort that has to go into whether it be understanding pricing, understanding lead time, et cetera. And we do I believe we do an exceptional job and probably best in class within our industry around being able to deliver that for the end client. We have industry leading lead times, quality, and hyper customization for our clients. But the real time is always the challenge, and it's the real time and it's the recommendation, right? So in the real time standpoint of when the client knows what they want, being able to give them exactly what they want when they want it and understand what that investment would look like. And so from a product development or on-demand design, that's the direction that we're looking at, and we're really excited to be able to go into, where a client is able to say, I love this, but I'm looking for something that's a little more dainty. And then be able to design for that on demand versus, oh, let me take that back to my design team. Oh, well, what that cost look like, et cetera. being able to utilize all the information at our fingertips and an understanding of, well, what have we done in thousands of past examples of making something customized and dainty in that example? Oh, well, the system can utilize those examples and pass to generate something. So really, I mean, that is true generative AI we're talking about there. In addition to that, really putting these skills in the hands of the end client, which takes it to another level, Manju, because then it feels like it's your own design, it's your own creation versus somebody who is an expert, but now I become the expert. And I think that's what people really want to feel and touch, is that they had a hand in and they were part of that process. And so for us, we're really looking at how we can implement more of that. And I think that's a lot of what we'll be looking at over the upcoming year as well. It's not just how can we do that for the business facing the client, but then how do you actually hand that over to the client to be able to do on their own? And I think that's very exciting when we think about our customer base, our retailer base, who everybody wants to feel very empowered and because they will have a passion around being able to create and design and develop for themselves. And the more and more we reach further into that, all the back office things for sure, all of this is in service of that end client, of being able to make strong inventory decisions, purchasing at the right times, having the right assortments in stores. We're all working towards those things. But in addition to that, when you think about, those will be generative AI as well, but really being able to create that's the ultimate goal, is seeing how we would be able to be that agile in a real-time environment, and then putting the ownership and touch and feel into the end consumer's hands. I ultimately think is going to absolutely revolutionize what we're already pushing forward in this industry and push it sort of to that next level. And I think that's not just for our industry in jewelry or the industry in luxury, but in so many ways, end clients are looking to be part of their product journey. And any company that is looking at that and trying to understand that and place all the foundational work that they've done towards that skill set and applying generative AI are really going to capture the minds and hearts of those that are in love with their brand already, or bring new clientele into that for their brand.
Yeah, so it's absolutely amazing. I think the way you highlighted the inventory positioning, right? When you think about the inventory positioning, really getting the hyper personalization in all the way from the design to make sure that the right ring, and especially when people are buying a wedding ring, it's so personal to them and they want to be part of that design, yet at the same time be agile, real time, as you said, and also not only be giving them the personalized recommendations, but when they're interested in purchasing it, the inventory is there. And even if you have to make an adjustment, how do you do it more effective, real time? All of those, the data AI platform is helping you, not just in making sure that, like you call the back office, your stakeholders internally have to stay coordinated, but your channel partners who are showcasing the product and the end customer who's actually trying and purchasing, they all feel like they're part of this design in a connected manner. And behind the scene, the platform is helping you with the data and connections and so on. But to what you said, the generative AI DI part of it is the creative side of it, as in it's now helping the customers imagine the ways they can describe, and then they can see a view of it, and they can get a physical product close to it, and bringing them close to real time. I mean, it's or near real time is going to be the dream state for many companies. But glad to see that you're evolving in the direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, Christine, this has been very inspiring in terms of how you're shaping things, and especially your industry, where while on one side you're very dynamic, you're you deal with hyper personalized and high value products, but at the same time it's also a traditional industry in some ways, because you're dealing with
Mm-hmm.
not something that became a hype overnight, and you're riding the wave, but rather people plan for these wedding rings and so on. So Considering all these things, maintaining that balance, um, are there any final thoughts that you want to share with businesses who are considering AI solutions? Because we deal with a lot of companies who are at different stages of journey, and we take the planning in a box, designs, deployments to those customers. So are there advices that you have for them on how, especially the ones who are either early on or somewhere in the journey?
Yeah, I think when we've had conversation before, I really tried to take a step back, and when we talk about business outcomes, and we talked a bit today about the business outcomes from a financial standpoint, resourcing standpoint, but also I think it's really valuable for organizations to think about the investment that this provides for the development and growth of their teams and their individuals. And I say that, and that some of the observations that I've had over the past years is an absolute upskilling of our team members here. Them having the access to the information and analytics that they previously did not have, and being able to shed a lot of that basic or precursor work to getting to the meat of getting at analytics has really opened up so many of our department's eyes and approach to what if or what then or what next. And I think that a lot of times, as we talked a lot about, like just the monumental investment that can be felt by this, but really when you step back and say, where are we trying to achieve and where are we trying to go, that there are these approaches like we've built together and planning in the box that has allowed us to again shed a lot of that tactical work and focus more on the strategic. And so it's been really cool to see the, again, skill advancement, that upskilling of our team members. In addition to that, I think that I've also seen where our teams are more connected than they've ever been before. It's amazing how the data being connected connects the functions. And organizations will often talk about, oh, we're very siloed. We don't, the different departments need to talk more to each other and stuff. Well, they also talk to each other through the data and through the shared goal setting, and how how you track against that, and how you analyze that, and how you work towards that and measure. And so having an integrated capability or integrated system, it's provided so much connectivity for these teams and across our universe. And then ultimately, I think it's challenged us to be better partners to our, as mentioned, end consumers, our clients, our retailer base, and all of our external partners, because we've also looked at how we can be in better service of them. So I think overall, there's like these more softer or more in service of our own employees that I call out, that are just additional gains that our organization has found. And I've really enjoyed seeing areas where I think teams or organizations within our company might have felt stifled before are feeling very opened up and very capable, and they've seen where we've gone, so they believe that we can go even further. And when you have that confidence in that, it's not just the adoption rate of I'm running this report, it's the I can really see how if we do even further, if we go even further into our relationship or our planning for the future, how we're going to be able to take it to the next level together. So that's been really exciting. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention how I've seen just the organization grow and develop with these new functional capabilities that we've built.
Yeah. Thank you, Christine. I think especially the people aspect that you highlighted is extremely critical. At the end of the day, it's really the people that make the difference, whether it's on our side, our employees, or your side, but they're working together. Like you said, the data connects people within the function, and sometimes even across vendors and partners that Tacori works with. And the trust that our teams build is an extremely important aspect, because we as a Pluto 7, we are constantly upskilling our own people, and we want, through transparency, we want to see Tacori employee also upskill themselves, because together we'll see a bigger possibilities. And the transparency that we are both trying to maintain, whether it's what gets deployed, or what problem gets solved, or what's even not working, that's even more important than what's working. I many times say technology is the easiest part in all of this, but it's
Mhm.
really making sure the communication is working effectively. There is transparency, there is trust. Those are the harder ones to continue to maintain and evolve and get better. So, with all of these, Christine, first of all, thank you for taking the time and sharing your perspectives. It's exciting times ahead working with Tacori, using data, AI, and all the capabilities of planning in a box with the ecosystem that we work with, and looking forward for a continuous journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Manju. My pleasure.